Hello, and welcome to saveourmiddleclass.net. Both the Democrats and the elite Republicans support, endorse, and downright love free trade. I'm here to refute and rebut their argument with 27 points how free trade is destroying America. First, here is the most important negative against free trade. No one is telling you that free trade is all about income redistribution. It is income redistribution on a global scale. It is redistributing wealth from America to every foreign trading partner. Free trade is a colossal socialist program, but it is not the normal socialist program that confiscates from the rich. Oh no, the rich are doing very, very well under free trade. The twisted and abhorrent truth is that free trade is confiscating America's middle-class wealth and shipping it to our trading partners. This is an indisputable fact, and it is why the current version of free trade must be stopped. Second, if free trade is such a successful economic formula, why has the Federal Reserve kept benchmark interest rates at or near zero for over 7 years? It is because free trade is a disastrous economic formula. Before this current model of free trade was enacted, our Federal Reserve needed to actively raise and lower rates in reaction to our very vibrant economic activity. But there's not been any vibrant economic activity in America because free trade is a failure. It only favors the rich, which is why all the high-end consumer products are enjoying such high demand. Third, one of our economic historical pillars is very missing in this economic environment, and that is the result of free trade or our free trade policies. That pillar is single-family housing. Thanks to free trade, the boom in single-family housing is apartments. That's right. Thanks to free trade, we have degraded from a country of home ownership to one of home rentership. Single-family home ownership is another American victim of free trade. It is a most financial disaster that America could ever wish on itself. Free trade is not working. Fourth, income inequality is at an all-time high, higher even than the early 1900s when we had Rockefeller, Carnegie, Vanderbilt, J.P. Morgan, and all the other elite and no real middle class, only the poor. In addition, the wealth gap is at an all-time high. And just like J.P. Morgan and Rockefeller, today's elite are pouring money into political campaigns, especially the Democrats' campaign, to keep themselves in power along with free trade. The Rockefellers and the Carnegies fought against Teddy Roosevelt, and today's elite are fighting against Donald Trump. It is history repeating itself. Fifth, our economy is so weak, companies are buying back their own stock because they see that as their best investment. They are not investing in building new manufacturing facilities or new buildings or much of anything else that will build our American economy. So they buy back their own stock, and the executives and the stockholders get richer because per share income shows growth, when in reality income has been flat to down. The second way companies are showing profit growth is by firing people. This charade of showing growth by firing people and buying back stock is damaging our American economy, but it is making stockholders and the rich much richer. All of these job cuts and financial games played by our corporation is due to the failure of free trade. Sixth, free trade has resulted in yet another pillar of our economy being completely dependent upon the Federal Reserve. The Fed has for years been buying risky automobile loans. This action has been taken to hide the real fact that fewer Americans hold jobs that are capable of supporting automobile loans. The Fed's actions are to hide this fact, but they are also causing some serious problems. Because car manufacturers can sell cars to people who really cannot afford them, the Fed is building another unsustainable economic bubble. Their actions have also allowed the car companies to raise prices due to this artificial demand. If we had a real growth economy, the Fed would not be buying up these bad loans. But we don't have a vibrant economy. Free trade is an economic disaster. Seventh, free trade has the U.S. financially funding our enemies. Free trade has made China extremely wealthy, and with that wealth, they are expanding their military and they are using it in a most aggressive manner. They are aggressively moving into the South China Sea and building a series of military bases where there was no land before. That is right. They are building man-made military bases in the South China Sea so they can expand their patrolled area and claim territory that isn't theirs. The real villain here is free trade, which is funding an aggressive Chinese communist government. We are feeding this monster with our middle-class wealth, and then our politicians want these same middle-class sons and daughters to join the military and protect our elite. This is a travesty and an abomination and an outright betrayal of our citizens and our country. All of this is for the benefit of the very, very few. And we owe it all to free trade. Eighth, China is now buying many of our biggest corporations and other properties right here in America. They have purchased our largest pork producer, and they are a country that cannot even produce safe baby food. Good move. They have spent over $100 billion to buy American properties, and more buying is on the way. On the other hand, Americans are not allowed to wholly own any properties in China. This is the fault of free trade. Ninth, our politicians are now importing foreign replacement workers into our country to replace the few remaining well-paid jobs. What is worse, our American workers are forced to train their replacements or they will not receive any severance packages. Again, all of this is because of free trade. 10th, we have transferred manufacturing and technical expertise directly to our enemies. As scary as this may sound, there is more, as it includes our intellectual properties as well. China, as a result, has now been able to build the world's fastest computer using their own chips and their own software, all built upon our free trade training and technical advice. All of this is the result of free trade. 11th, we are not just experiencing a jobless recovery, we are experiencing a significant and negative social, economic downshift from a three-class system to a two-class system, a third world system of rich and poor. Our middle-class population has been significantly reduced, and with the import of the lower-paid foreign workers now being allowed to enter our country to replace American workers, this direction is accelerating. Worse yet, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, otherwise known as TPP, will all but extinguish our middle class. It will give priority to foreign companies over present-day American labor laws, and it will erode further our freedom of speech rights. All of this destruction is due to our free trade policies. 12th, we are being deceived about the real size of U.S. manufacturing that remains in our country. Our politicians have been including in the manufacturing numbers the distillation of oil into fuel. Few of us think that refining oil is manufacturing, but our politicians include refining in the manufacturing numbers so they can falsely skew the numbers to the upside. Without refining, our manufacturing numbers are really bad. This is doubly egregious, as the finished petroleum product also counts as our single biggest export item. Imagine that. We are shipping diesel fuel and gasoline to China with the resulting effect of artificially raising prices in our own country. So let me set the record straight. First, we have shipped all of our jobs to China, and now we are shipping our non-renewable resources to them as well. All of this transfer to China, including our jobs and our natural resources, is the result of free trade. I, on the other hand, believe in shepherding our natural resources, as low fuel prices supports a healthy economy. As for shipping it all to the communist China, they can take a flying leap. Free trade is killing America. 13th, free trade has rendered us a borderless country. Free trade is all about the elite's unfettered access to every consumer worldwide and the freedom to hire any low-paid worker on a worldwide basis. The elite Republicans and Democrats do not want us to have borders, nor do they want us to have a healthy and growing middle class, or they would be doing something very different than they are today. They hate our middle class, and they especially hate our livelihoods. In addition, they want the USA to know its proper place in the world. They want us to play a minor role in global affairs and welcome all foreigners with open arms and open borders. All of this is the result of free trade. 14th, our politicians have abandoned our middle class and left us in the hands of the elite, whom are intent on destroying our livelihoods and our way of life. The elite want only to pay wages at the level of the poorest of countries. And our politicians have done everything the elite has required them to do to make this happen. Politicians in both parties are being paid by the elite donors to destroy our middle class, and they are doing a great job of it. All of this is being driven by personal greed. Our politicians hate our American citizens, and I can prove it. Here is my challenge to every middle class and poor citizen in America. I dare you, call your congressman's office and your local senator's office and ask them, do they represent the American citizen or the foreign citizen? Few, if any of them, will answer this question, and that will tell you everything you need to know. They no longer represent our citizen. Our politicians' allegiance is to their political party. They work for them, not for us. And who do the political parties work for? Like all employees, they work for those who pay them. And who pays them? The elite donors pay them. That is who they work for, not for us, but for them. Now do you understand why our politicians endorsed, supported, and passed our current free trade policies? Free trade is killing America. 15th, why are U.S. Treasury bond interest rates at historical lows? Because free trade is a disaster. This is proof that our economy is very weak because of free trade. Bond rates are the real health index of how well or how poorly our economy is performing. And our bond rates are at historical lows. Here is the financial proof that free trade is failing America. 16th, our Federal Reserve will never raise overnight interest rates above 1% in this free trade economy. If rates were to rise above that 1% level, we would experience a total economic collapse, and the Fed knows it. This is yet another financial proof that free trade is killing America. 17th, Social Security, Medicare, and defense spending are all in trouble because the great tax base that supported them has disappeared. That tax base was our once great middle class, but it has evaporated because of free trade. 18th, 97% of the benefits and all of the profits of free trade go to the elite of our country as well as the elite in every foreign country. 19th, all of the international profit generated by our, international companies is not being repatriated into the U.S. That does not help the U.S., as these companies do not want to pay U.S. taxes. That is yet another negative factor of our free trade policies. We need the taxes to replace the missing middle-class tax base, as I described above. 20th, the Chinese Communist government owns a portion of almost every major domestic company, as well as every foreign company which is allowed to conduct business in China. They receive profits directly as part owners of these companies, and they also receive additional monies from the taxes on the profits that they do not own. Therefore, they are receiving double the amount of money that the U.S. trade model produces. This goes for all the Chinese companies that are buying up all of the American assets within the U.S. All of these double profits are going directly into the hands of the communist Chinese government. We, the USA, are getting royally screwed. I am beginning to believe that we are just plain stupid, or at least our politicians must be. This double profit is funding our enemy in ways that are not obvious to everyone. It is scary, and it is happening, and it is all the fault of our free trade policy. 21. We have fewer jobs available to our graduates because of our free trade policies. They are coming out of school with huge debt and little opportunity to repay these funds. This is directly attributable to free trade. 22. Our Bureau of Labor Statistics counts low-paying service jobs the same as the higher-paid manufacturing jobs, which migrated to China. To hide this job migration, our politicians treat the current jobs paying $10 an hour as equal to the migrated ones, those paid $50 an hour. Even I know that the effect of losing these higher-paying jobs has been ruinous on our economy. And our politicians are covering up the real effect of these job losses by falsely counting $10 an hour jobs as equal to the ones that were lost at $50 an hour. This is a big lie to cover up the significant devastation that free trade has brought to America. 23. Economic entitlements have grown because of the lack of economic opportunity and illegal immigration. All of this is the direct result of free trade. 24. Confidence in our economic future is low because our job opportunities have been given away to the foreign citizen. People do not spend when confidence is low. In addition, personal credit card debt is soaring because of the lack of financial opportunities for the majority of our citizens. Again, all of this is due to the fact of free trade. 25. America is $19 trillion in debt, and it will soon be $30 trillion in debt. And it is all due to the free trade and the lousy free trade economy. 26. Many of our young adults continue to live at home because of the lack of economic opportunities. This is the result of today's free trade policies. 27. We have a record, believe it or not, record of 94.7 million workers out of the workforce. That number is the direct result of free trade. You know, it doesn't really matter if you call free trade globalization or not. I don't really care what you call it. Its destructiveness is being felt by everyday Americans on an everyday basis. It is eliminating our middle class and providing the few elite with immense wealth with which they continue to control our politicians. Free trade in its present form must end and be replaced with a balanced trading system that ensures the continued financial growth of our middle class livelihoods. At the end of the day, it comes down to a very few questions. Do we support the elite and their continued destruction of our middle class, or do we support a vibrant and growing middle class? Do we hire politicians whom support our citizens, or ones whom support the elite and favor the foreign citizen over us? This is the stark reality we are living in today. It is your vote that will determine the fate of our middle class and the fate of America. Donald Trump is our only answer. Hillary will only make it worse with her approval of the TPP treaty. I hope you vote for Trump and not for Hillary and her elite supporters. Remember, free trade is destroying America. As always, my efforts and my actions are in support of improving our middle class and their livelihoods. May God bless them and help them. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.